Hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Lazer, and today we're gonna talk about two very important aspects in the Cho'Gall patch. We're gonna talk about the changes to the score screen, and we're gonna talk about changes in dev timers and in scaling. Now, I would normally include these in my patch reviews, but they feel very important and I thought they deserve a video of their own. So let's get into it. I'm gonna try to look at things both objectively and subjectively, and I'm gonna try to determine the two very clearly so I don't confuse you guys too much. Hopefully. Well, that's the plan at least. Alright, so let's get into changes to score screen. The XP column on the in-game score screen has been removed. The takedown column on the in-game score screen has been split into two new columns, kills and assists. Kills will be final blows, and assists are pretty much the same as takedowns up until this point, okay? So they work pretty much the same way. If you're around a specific area when an enemy hero dies, you will get one of these assists. Now, objectively, we could say that this is a very good thing because, for example, a Tassadar could stroll along while you and the rest of your team might be hard at work killing a Murky and an Illidan and whatnot, and he just gets an assist. A kill, a takedown there, okay, because he just managed to waltz in at the right time. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing, now is it? Sure, it kind of rewarded if you want map awareness, okay, playing with your team, you gotta be with your team when these things go down. You can argue that if you so desire. But giving him a takedown for that, and think about the word takedown. What does a takedown mean, takedown? It's not a kill, or is it now? It can induce that idea. Blizzard was very careful when picking this specific word, takedown. So you can say, okay, that's good, because now players that actually got kills will be rewarded for this. This was the whole point of it. This is why Blizzard did this. They said, listen, we want to reward our assassins, okay? We want to reward the efforts of our assassins. Now that seems perfectly legitimate, does it not? The problem is mentality. This is the issue with this one, because I've been playing on the PTR quite a few games because I wanted to get my head around it, because initially I just bloody hated it, okay? I wanted to understand the logic behind that and see what kind of effect it will have on the game, on the player. Now, I've already seen the negative effects. These are pretty simple to see. You will see players keep their spells, keep their cooldowns, not use them just so they can get a killing blow. For example, Nova. So you'll see Novas modifying their rotation so that it's not max damage, but they get the final blow. How do you do that? Well, it's very simple. The most common case for a Nova, okay, up until this point, was saving her Q ability. Saving her Q ability so she gets the final blow and therefore unkill on the scoreboard. This is the problem with it. The concept of kills and assists is fine in an idyllic environment, but we are not in an idyllic environment, are we? And the problem is players will try to manipulate this. They will modify their gameplay in such a way so they get more score on the score screen. This has always been the case. And this is the problem with this one. It's not that it exists, it's about the mentality behind said thing, and it also gives more flaming potential to it. Okay, let's say an Illidan goes in, works his ass off, tries to gets the target down to 5-4%, something like that, and another assassin waltzes right in and casts one spells and kills the target. Haha, noob, I got 20 kills, you got only 2. And Illidan did like most of the work, let's say, for that specific game, for that specific fight, and so on and so forth. It gives more fuel to the fire, if you want. Players, like, again, can keep their abilities, can modify their rotations, to not get max damage, but to get more kills on the score screen, and then flame. This is a legitimate thing in a MOBA, guys. Don't say, well, only some players. Most players do this. I actually felt at a certain point, I never felt this up until Heroes of the Storm at this point, okay? When I went into a team fight, I always thought about my spells, how was the optimal way to use this. At a certain point, I was with Illidan, I had my W ready, I could W through a target, and on instinct I thought, wait, let me save it a little bit till he's a bit more low and I'll get the kill. That's wrong, okay? And that was a reflex, that was nothing on purpose, I thought, okay? Obviously, I'm not gonna save my spells just to get kills. I want the optimal amount of damage. I want to cast them at the optimal time to get the best results. But what if the best result is +1 on kills for the scoreboard? Exclusively for me. Blizzard. Isn't that what you're outlining? Look at the position of the kills column on the scoreboard. It's first to the left. These are psychological positions, okay? They mean something. They want to give this a strong meaning, a strong importance on the scoreboard. That's not okay. That's really not okay. So overall, regarding my own feelings on this, I understand why they did it, and I like it 50%. I would love it if players were idyllic, if you want, okay? They have a nice, solid, proactive attitude. But you can't really trust players to have that now, can you? And that's about it for the scoreboard. To wrap it up, like I said, I already seen on the PTR players modifying their rotations just to get the killing blow. I'm not gonna give you guys a clear video footage of flaming, but I already seen cases where, for example, what was it? I forget. A Cho'Gall tassel was up like 15 kills on a, what was it? On a Vala. So the Cho'Gall tassel was up 15 kills on the Vala. We eventually lost that game. And before the game ended, was all the hell broke loose in chat, okay? Like, you're so shit, you're so garbage, I got 15 kills up on you, and so on. Look at me, I got 25, you got 10, where were you at the whole game? You know, I carried, I did this, I was the man of the team and whatnot, and you're garbage, you're shit. This is what kills and assists does, folks. The Vala had plenty of assists. It was nothing wrong, she just didn't get the last blow, and therefore she didn't get that number on the score screen. And then you had 2 or 3 people flaming the Vala. Nothing wrong with the Vala's gameplay. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the Vala's gameplay, and we didn't lose because of the Vala or some garbage like that. You win and lose as a team in Heroes of the Storm. That hasn't changed much. But this was a clear example on the PTR, guys, which only a handful of people play. You gotta wait 10 minutes to get into a game. And there were already clear examples of people flaming based on the modifications to the score screen, and already people modifying their rotations so they can get killing blows. Can you blame them? Do you want to get flamed? Maybe they don't want to get flamed. Maybe they're forced into modifying their rotations. Who knows, guys? What do you think about this whole goddamn thing? Like I said, I understand it. I understand wanting to reward assassins for their efforts, but I gotta ask myself, okay, I played plenty of assassins, I got like, I don't know, 1,000 games on assassins. Did I ever feel unrewarded? Nope, not really, guys. To be frank, not really. I never felt the need, I need to see there what kind of kills I got. I never felt underwhelming when I did good on an assassin. Was this really needed? Where does this come from? Why do you want to reward assassins? Did you guys feel underwhelmed when you played an assassin good and you felt like the score screen doesn't reflect your efforts? I never once felt that. And keep in mind, I have played all the other big MOBAs to a larger or lesser extent. I don't understand it. I never felt underwhelmed by the score screen. And try to imagine what kind of effect will this have on the support class, which is kind of already shunned a little bit, okay? Players don't really want to play support, they want to play the damage dealers, and that's absolutely fine. But think about the effect of this on the support class. They'll get tons of assists, best case scenario, but no kills, like I seen a Tassadar go 0 and 45. Yeah. Now, regarding the XP column that was removed, we no longer, because I didn't talk about it, we no longer need to worry about that. Blizzard just came on record to say, hey, we listen, we got it, okay, fine, calm down, we're putting it back. So they are putting the XP gained on the scoreboard back. Okay, so no worry about it. It was stupid in its essence. You're rewarding assassins, but you're taking away from other heroes, for example, Lost Vikings or maybe even Abattoir, who can pork out a lot of team XP for their team. You're just taking the stat they're most good at, you're taking it away and throwing it down the dumpster. So you can't get kills, you can't really get, maybe you get a lot of assists, you can't get a whole lot of other stats, but you can get this one, yet you're taking it away from me, but you're rewarding assassins. Aren't you kind of conflicting yourself on this one, Blizzard? What was the big idea with this one? Who thought of this thing? Anyway, they're putting it back, so I'm really happy about that. It deserves to be on the scoreboard. We got used to it, we want it, and it rewards specific heroes, okay, which are good at this and, well, not really good at anything else. So that's totally fine. We have great diversity in Heroes of the Storm. Heroes which are very good at specific roles. There's nothing wrong with that. Alright guys, that's gonna conclude my thoughts on the changes to the score screen we're gonna move on to a more dire subject from my point of view, and that is the changes in death timers and end scaling. Let's start by talking about the death timers and their increase. All death timers have been increased from level 1 to level 10. They didn't touch the death timers from level 10 to level 30, but from 1 to 10 we got some increase. So from 1 to 6 we got plus 6 seconds. Okay, so a death timer at level 1 will no longer be 9 seconds, it will be 15. At level 2 it will no longer be 10 seconds, it will be 16 seconds, and so on and so forth till level 6. At level 7 we got a 5-second increase from 16 seconds to 21 seconds. At level 8 again we got a 4-second increase, so from 18 seconds to 22 seconds. And at level 9 we got an increase from 20 seconds to 23 seconds, so that's plus 3 seconds, and a 1-second increase at level 10. Now I'm gonna read you what Blizzard says about this. Okay, why did they do this? We've identified that there may be a difficulty in achieving objectives in the early game due to our death timers and how quickly players can get back into a fight. To help set up teams and players to make important strides in the games, while also increasing the importance of not dying in the early game, we've adjusted death timers for the first 10 levels. As you can see, the death timers heading into the mid and late game will mostly go unchanged. We believe these changes will set up players to take advantage of secured takedowns early with possible aggressive play on objectives, towers or minion waves. Overall, this will allow players more choice on how they handle takedowns of their own opponents while being able to progress the match in a quicker manner. Alright guys, so this is what Blizzard has to say about the increase in death timers. Now let's talk a little bit about the changes in stats. They flattened out stats, power-ups you would get from level to level. So when you level, you would get some extra stats, some extra HP, basic attack damage, and so on and so forth. They flattened this out for the early level. Like for example, you know how Illidan used to get, I don't know, 100 HP extra per level or something like that? Now he gets something like 10. You no longer start off with 750 hit points, you start off with 1500, because the stats which you would get from level to level, most of them they give you from the start, so you have them from the get-go at level 1. The reason for doing this was Snowball Prevention. They noticed that if a particular team got a few kills on the enemy team and got those extra 1-2 levels in the early game, it would matter a whole lot and it would create a snowball effect. And preventing snowball effects is a big deal for Heroes of the Storm. We have a lot of that. However, it is my honest opinion that's mostly because of the way the battlegrounds are fought off, or rather not fought off, to be frank. This is the reason why the changes in stat power-ups. Now, unfortunately, if you guys went on the PTR and tested for yourself, you know the changes in stats from level to level now are almost meaningless. They flattened them out to such a degree where it doesn't matter if you are 2 levels in front of the enemy team. In a team fight, you can still get your arse kicked with no problem at all. And I gotta ask, is that okay? Are you kidding me? What is the point of being in front on levels, Blizz? It doesn't really matter. You guys will get to experience for yourselves, but the increases in stats from level to level does not really matter that much anymore. The early game for Heroes of the Storm mirrors the late game. Is that normal? What is the point? Do we even have an early game now and a late game? We know we don't. The whole game plays the same from start to finish. The only real impact we got is when we get talents. That's the only bar that we still gotta be kinda careful of. If you're behind 2 levels on an enemy team, you shouldn't really worry about a team fight. The differences in stats are meaningless for 2 levels. If you're behind 4, okay. At 4 you might feel something, a little bit of a something, but that's about it. Overkill, Blizzard, overkill like frick. What do I achieve? What is my advantage for being in front? Let's say I took a whole bunch of unnecessary risks and it worked out for me and I got 2 levels in front of the enemy team because I got 4 extra, 6 extra, 10 extra kills, whatever, and I'm in front. How am I rewarded? With meaningless stats which really have no effect. If you think I'm kidding, for example, Illidan from what was it, level 1 to level 2 gets like 20 HP more or 30 HP more, something stupid along those lines, really small differences. His basic attack does 1 more damage or something like that. What is this? What is the point to levels anymore? I gotta ask, Blizz, why don't you just give us, I don't know, give us the flat hero from the start, give us all the talents and let's just go ARAM. Is there any point? Should I not be rewarded because I got in front of the enemy team? Okay, you may say, well, it was too strong. It was too strong, too much snowball. Fine, reduce them a little bit, but by this much? Jesus. If you guys haven't been on the PTR, I recommend you try it out. It's a goddamn joke. Now, the good part is that Snowball Prevention indeed is a thing now. You can't really snowball a team anymore because the differences in level don't really matter that much anymore. Okay, so again, you're 2 levels behind. You shouldn't really worry about a team fight. It's gonna go down just like the other 2 you were in, pretty much. Only talents, okay, so you gotta keep in mind talents. I think this is one of the worst decisions ever made by the Heroes of the Storm developers. This is just my feelings on it. You guys don't have to share it. If you don't believe so, please post your opinions in the comment section down below. This leads to players taking a much more defensive approach. Okay, the whole enchilada leads to players having a much more defensive approach. Why? Gaining a level on the enemy team is no longer a big deal. Okay, it's no longer meaningful. You're not rewarded with mostly anything. Okay, except when you reach indeed the talents. Okay, those still make some of a difference depending on the hero and so on and so forth. On the other hand, now dying is a big deal. Why is dying a big deal? Because of the increase in death timers. For example, at level 6, you're gonna get 20 seconds auto commission time if you die. What is gonna happen then for your team? Maybe an objective pops up, you're not going to be able to help with that, your team will lose it, and so on and so forth. So let's see the whole picture for a second, guys. Dying is a big deal because of the increase in death timers. Yes, okay, good. Getting a level advantage is no longer that big of a deal unless you get a talent. Okay, if you get a talent, then that can be a clear advantage for your team. What will this mean in gameplay? I already see it on the PTR, a whole lot more defensive play, which is a crying shame, if you ask me. Defensive play is what you see in every other classic MOBA. Heroes of the Storm was the only, among the few, that actually rewarded aggressive players, okay? It would encourage you to take those risks, okay? Make that spectacular play. Dive an enemy, kill them, then get out of harm's way before you die and whatnot, okay? Getting that extra level for your team meant something. And in case you would have died and it didn't work out, you died, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was more spectacle. It rewarded aggressive play. No more. That's done. I am terribly disappointed in these changes. You will see that what I said during this video will translate to live. If you want to go to the PTR, you will find this to be true. Players are already playing a whole lot more defensively, no longer taking risks, no longer making the spectacular play, which kind of kills the spectacle of Heroes of the Storm a little bit. I don't like it. This might, in all honesty, this might actually break the game for me, because this is not what I wanted from Heroes of the Storm. This was not what was advertised for Heroes of the Storm, and I gotta be honest, I'm not even sure I can adapt to it. Again, I formed my style of play in the last year and 1 year plus of playing Heroes of the Storm to be super aggressive, because the game rewarded being super aggressive. This is no longer the case, and that's just sad from my point of view. Somewhat of an upside to this is that more classic mobile players, the guys coming over from League of Legends and Dota 2, will feel more at home in Heroes of the Storm. They will have an easier time adapting to Heroes of the Storm, because the gameplay mentality wise kind of mirrors that of a classic MOBA now, in small degrees, okay, in a certain degree, not completely, definitely not. So I can't help but wonder if this wasn't really the point. What do you guys think? Now I'm up for Snowball Prevention. This is a noble goal and all whatnot, but you could have done that by tweaking the maps, okay, the objectives and how they work. You could have done that like that, just tweak the battlegrounds so you get less snowballing in Heroes of the Storm. You didn't have to go and change the whole game fundamentally to do that, now did you? Now at BlizzCon they said that the players that tested these changes felt like, oh, not that big of a difference, we didn't feel much difference. I don't know who are these guys and if they played 10, 100 or 1,000 games in Heroes of the Storm, but I'm a guy who played since the early alpha. I got around 2,200 registered games, I have reached rank 1 multiple times, and I am telling you, the gameplay is changed dramatically. The mentality of the game has changed dramatically. How could it not when you start at level 1 with all the stats you would get by level 7 or level 8? How could it not? It's entirely different. It has almost nothing to do with the initial gameplay Heroes of the Storm had. Maybe I'm wrong, guys. maybe I'm wrong in my beliefs. However, every guy which I played with and talked to shared opinions about the changes, more or less felt the same way. Please post your opinion in the comment section down below. I don't know who the hell gave that feedback, or if they're newbies, if they're whatever the hell they are, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the actual truth. Don't believe me? Log on to the PTR, see how it goes. Now, they did reach their objective, okay? They did prevent snowballing a little bit, but then again, you kind of killed the meaning of being in front of an enemy team. It's kind of pointless. It's like you're playing autopilot sometimes, okay? Let's just get to the end, something like that, and see what happens. And you know who, what other players just play to get to the end most of the time? Yeah, the guys in League of Legends. You know what happens in leagues? You stay 20 minutes on lane, you farm, and then you run around the map until some guy gets caught and do a team fight, 1, 2 team fights, 3 team fights maybe, and that decides the game. And that's it, okay? So there's like 5 minutes of team fights and 20 minutes of farming and running around the map. I didn't want this from Heroes of the Storm. This was not what Heroes of the Storm was all about, and now I just feel like I'm playing on autopilot till the end of the game. The end of the game is brought on by map objectives, okay, and mercenaries and the scaling for these guys and so on and so forth. So it's like, I don't know how to describe it better than autopilot. It's an autopiloted game now. So I'm gonna wrap it up now, folks. About the score screen, I have a problem with the kills tab there. I want it to be less meaningful so players are less attracted to it. Even the word kills is too strong. Make it final blows or something like that. Something less meaningful, something that... don't put it on the first goddamn column so that people think, oh, this is the biggest deal in Heroes of the Storm, right? No! It shouldn't be the biggest deal in Heroes of the Storm. You know what? In the early alpha, there was a tab in the score screen that indicated how much of the map objectives players got. Now, granted, that wasn't exactly super meaningful either, okay? But that could have been worked into something meaningful, okay? You could have played around with that concept and gave us something good. And another thing we should really take into consideration is that at BlizzCon 2015, the devs specified that they are working on an MMR system that will also reward your own personal achievements, meaning your own personal stats, meaning a whole bunch more of selfish decisions made by the players just so they can pump up their own personal stats, making these modifications to the score screen even more toxic. So I gotta ask, folks, do we really need this? I certainly think we don't. So definitely, I would definitely suggest renaming the kills to final blows or something less meaningful. Don't put it up in front in everybody's faces. Put it somewhere else, to the side, whatever. If you gotta have it. If you cannot remove it and bring takedowns back. You know what? Come to think of it, I would remove the damn thing entirely. No kills, no takedowns, no assists. What do you need it for? What do you need it for? You got damage done, right? What do you need that for anyway? Maybe I'm being a bit too extremist on this one, but again, these are just my views. And regarding the changes in stats and death timers, the idea itself, the core of the idea is not bad. Okay, you can prevent some snowballing like this if you don't want to revisit every battleground and think of it in a different way. But it's a huge overkill. It's a huge overkill. We need more stats from level to level and lower the death timers a little bit. I'm not saying go back to the way it was necessarily, okay, but it's hugely overkill at this point. The death timers are too long and the scaling is practically meaningless. Make levels matter more. You don't want to give us stats per level? Fine, give us a level, give us a talent every level. How about that then, if you don't want to give us the stats? There are solutions to this, but right now I am definitely not liking where the game is. I'll play some more. If I ever change my mind, I'll let you guys know. Personally, I'm a little bit worried because, like I said, this can actually break the game for me. I can't tell at this point. I gotta play every single battleground, and then I'll get a better idea. And if I get to the point where I'm feeling I'm playing a classic MOBA without the last hits and item shops, then well, I'll just throw in the towel and goodbye. Okay, but I'll let you guys know. For the time being, none of that. Okay, I'm still hard at work in Heroes of the Storm, if you can say that. That's gonna wrap it out, folks. Thank you for watching. As always, my name has been Leyzar. I'm gonna take this opportunity to encourage you once again. Please post your opinions in the comment section down below. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. I don't have the answers to everything. These are my opinions, my views. I don't have to be right, I don't have to be wrong. we hold the key together as a community, and we need to learn from one another. Thank you for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you again soon.